Germany already had one of the most feared tanks of the Second World War. The Tiger I, with its 88mm gun and thick armor, was a nightmare for Allied tank crews. For 2 solid years, it was the most intimidating thing on any battlefield it showed up to. But in the summer of 1944, they pulled it from production, and in its place came something bigger, heavier, and more extreme. The Tiger II, or King Tiger. 70 tons of sloped armor and a gun that could destroy anything it pointed at. On paper, this was the ultimate tank. But here's what nobody in Berlin seemed to be asking. If the Tiger I was already this feared, why build something even bigger? What were they hoping Tiger II would do that Tiger I could not? And more importantly, by the time it arrived, was that bigger Tiger really what Germany needed? Because the answer has some chapters that don't get talked about as often. So let's start with understanding what the Tiger I already was. The Tiger program started with a humiliation. In June 1940, during the Battle of France, German shells bounced harmlessly off British Matildas and French Char B-1s. The Wehrmacht had just conquered a country in 6 weeks and still walked away, embarrassed by enemy armor their tanks couldn't kill. That shock is what created the Tiger. The idea had been building for years. A heavy breakthrough tank with thick frontal armor, a powerful high-velocity gun, and the ability to destroy enemy tanks at ranges where they couldn't shoot back. It wasn't meant to sit in a defensive position. It was built to smash through enemy lines, take punishment, and open the way for lighter forces behind it. But that need became urgent in 1941. When Germany invaded the Soviet Union, they ran into the T-34 and the KV-1, and suddenly the limits of what they had were impossible to ignore. The Panzer III and Panzer IV had been good enough before. Now they were facing Soviet tanks with armor that survived hits at ranges that were supposed to be lethal. Standard German anti-tank rounds were bouncing off, so the solution was brute force. A tank mounting the 88mm KWK-36, a gun derived from the Flak 36 anti-aircraft cannon that had already proven it could kill tanks in North Africa and on the Eastern Front. The Tiger I entered service in August 1942, weighing about 57 tons, carrying the 88mm KWK-36L56 gun, and protected by 100mm of high-quality rolled homogeneous armor on the front. That armor was flat and vertical, no sloping at all, which meant it relied entirely on brute thickness rather than clever geometry. A Maybach HL230 V12 engine producing 700 horsepower gave it a top road speed of roughly 38 km per hour. It carried 92 main gun rounds and had a crew of 5. And despite weighing 57 tons, the Tiger was actually more mobile than most people think. It had a tighter turning radius than a Sherman, lower ground pressure than both the Sherman and the T-34 thanks to its very wide tracks, and could manage 20 to 25 km per hour off-road. Not fast, but not the lumbering beast you see in movies either. Its first day of combat was a disaster. The first 4 Tigers were sent to the Leningrad area in September 1942, deployed single file over swampy terrain, and all 4 were knocked out on day 1. Not because the armor was penetrated, but because nobody had figured out that a 57-ton tank doesn't belong in a swamp. 3 were later recovered. Not exactly the introduction anyone wanted, but once the tactics caught up with the hardware, the Tiger became something else entirely. The gun was where the reputation came from. In British firing trials, a gunner scored 5 consecutive hits from 1,200 yards on a target that was 16 by 18 inches. The 88 could destroy a T-34 at over 1,400 meters and a Sherman from even further. And the armor meant most Allied tank guns simply bounced off the front at normal combat ranges. The psychological effect was so powerful that British General Montgomery banned all reports mentioning the Tiger's combat performance because it was destroying Allied morale. Every Panzer IV, every Stug, every armoured vehicle the Allies couldn't immediately identify got reported as a Tiger. For 2 solid years, the Tiger I was the most dangerous thing on any battlefield it showed up to. But it was never cheap. Each one cost about 250,800 Reichsmarks, over twice the cost of a Panzer IV and 4 times a Stug 3. It took approximately 300,000 man-hours to build, nearly double what a Panther needed. Only 1,347 were ever produced. The overlapping road wheels could freeze solid overnight. The transmission was stressed near its limits. And recovery was a nightmare, because the only vehicle heavy enough to tow a broken Tiger was another Tiger, which was officially prohibited because it burned out the towing vehicle's engine. When it worked, and the crew was experienced, Tigers destroyed at least 10,300 enemy tanks for the loss of about 1,725, a figure that includes massive numbers of vehicles abandoned or blown up by their own crews. The combat exchange ratio was devastating, but by 1943, the question was whether anything could stay ahead of a curve that was bending fast. Because for all its thickness, the Tiger I's armor was a design that had already reached its ceiling. The hull was boxy and upright. The turret was tight. There wasn't room to mount the longer, more powerful version of the 88 that was already in development. And increasing the armor further would have put even more strain on a drivetrain that was already running near its limits. The Tiger I was formidable, but as an engineering platform, it had nowhere left to go. Now, Germany had already seen what sloped armor could do on the Panther and on captured T-34s. And they knew Allied guns were getting better every few months. So the thinking was straightforward. Build a new heavy tank with sloped armor, a longer gun, and enough room in the design to stay relevant against whatever came next. The result was the Tiger II. That thinking made sense if you believed the war still had years left, and enemy tanks would keep improving. Whether it still made sense given what Germany could actually afford to build by 1944 is a different question entirely. Production began at Henschel in January 1944, and on paper, this thing was everything the Tiger I wasn't. It weighed almost 70 tons. It carried the 88mm KWK 43L71, which despite being the same caliber as the Tiger I's gun, was a completely different weapon. The barrel was over 1.3 meters longer, and the cartridge was 88 by 822 millimeters compared to the Tiger I's 88 by 571. And if you tried to load a Tiger II round into a Tiger I, it would not fit. Same caliber, completely incompatible ammunition. This gun was not simply a longer version of the earlier 88, but an entirely different weapon based on the dedicated PaK-43 anti-tank gun. It could punch through 185 millimeters of armor at 2,000 meters. In practical terms, that meant a Tiger II could knock out any Allied tank at distances where returning effective fire was virtually impossible. Frontal hull armor was 150 millimeters and sloped like the Panther, dramatically increasing effective protection compared to the Tiger I's flat face. The production turret front was 185 millimeters. Its turret could also traverse 360 degrees in 19 seconds, compared to a full 60 seconds for the Tiger I. That's a huge tactical improvement, faster target acquisition, less vulnerability to flanking. No Allied tank gun in regular service ever penetrated a Tiger II from the front in confirmed combat, not once. The Soviets tested it at Kubinka by firing at a captured Tiger II with everything from 100 to 152 millimeter guns, and the KWK-43 proved capable of passing completely through another Tiger II's turret at 400 meters. It could kill its own kind. Nothing the Allies had could say the same about it. So in a straight fight at range, the Tiger II was untouchable. But here's where the story starts to crack. The Tiger II used the exact same 700 horsepower Maybach HL230 engine as the Tiger I and the Panther. The Panther weighed 45 tons. The Tiger I weighed 57. The Tiger II weighed 70. Same engine, 13 extra tons over the Tiger I, and 25 more than the Panther. The Tiger I already pushed that engine hard at a power-to-weight ratio of about 12.5 horsepower per ton. The Tiger II dropped that to roughly 10. For context, a modern main battle tank like the Leopard 2, which weighs about the same as a Tiger II, has over 1,400 horsepower. The result was predictable. Cross-country speed dropped to around 15 to 17 kilometers per hour. The transmission was working overtime. The steering mechanism was particularly failure-prone. Engines overheated. Final drives wore out. And all of this consumed fuel at a rate that Germany, by 1944, simply could not sustain. The 860-litre fuel tank gave a road range of just 190 kilometers and roughly 75 over rough terrain. Germany lost access to the Ploiești oil fields in Romania in August 1944. The very same month, the Tiger II replaced the Tiger I on the production line. The Tiger II was being born into a world that couldn't feed it. The first 5 Tiger IIs delivered to the Panzer Division broke down before they could even be used in combat and had to be destroyed to prevent capture. And at 70 tons, a broken-down Tiger II didn't just take itself out of the fight. It blocked roads and choked supply lines because there was nothing in the German inventory that could reliably tow it out of the way. Each one cost 321,500 Reichsmarks. Germany ordered 1,500 of them. They built 492 because Allied bombing raids destroyed 95% of the Henschel factory floor in late 1944, wiping out an estimated 657 Tiger IIs that were never produced. So not only could Germany not fuel the Tiger IIs it had, it couldn't even build the ones it wanted. Germany built 1,347 Tiger Is over 2 full years of production. Each one cost over twice the cost of a Panzer IV and more than 4 times a Stug 3 assault gun. It took approximately 300,000 man-hours to build a single Tiger I, nearly double what a Panther required. The Tiger II was worse on every count. Each one cost about 3 times the cost of a Panther. It consumed the production capacity of more than 2 Panthers. And Germany built 492 of them. To make a long story short, here's the industrial reality the Tiger II was born into. In 1944 alone, the United States produced over 17,000 Shermans. Total American Sherman production reached 49,324. The Soviets built approximately 84,000 T-34s. Germany's combined Tiger I and Tiger II production across the entire war was about 1,840 tanks. For the Reichsmark cost of 1 Tiger II, you could build nearly 3 Panthers. For the labor cost of 1 Tiger II, you could build over 6 Shermans. And by late 1944, the Allies had enough Shermans in the European theatre alone to outnumber Germany's entire wartime tank production. Not just what was in the field, every tank Germany had ever built. And all of this was happening while the Henschel factory in Kassel, the sole producer of Tiger hulls, was being systematically destroyed from the air. Between September and October 1944 alone, 5 Allied bombing raids destroyed 95% of the factory floor. That single series of raids is estimated to have cost Germany 657 Tiger IIs that were never built. Germany had ordered 1,500 Tiger IIs. They got a third of that. Germany was fighting a war of attrition with a weapon designed for decisive battle. And by 1944, there were no decisive battles left to fight. What there was, on every front, was a desperate need for more tanks in more places. The Tiger II answered a question the battlefield had stopped asking. The Tiger II first saw combat on July 18, 1944, near Caen. 12 arrived from the 503rd Heavy Panzer Battalion after a 190-kilometer road march. They drove straight into 8,000 tons of Allied bombs across a 15-square-kilometer area. 4 Tiger IIs were lost on the first day, including the company commander's tank, which fell into a bomb crater and couldn't be recovered because nothing in the German inventory could pull 70 tons out of a hole. By mid-August, the order came to withdraw through the Falaise Gap, and every remaining Tiger II was destroyed by its own crew. 12 committed, 0 recovered. On the Eastern Front, 3 Tiger IIs were ambushed and destroyed by T-34-85s near the Vistula River in August 1944. The ammunition inside the turrets detonated and killed most of the crews, which was alarming enough that Germany immediately banned storing main gun rounds in the turret, dropping capacity from 86 to 68 rounds. The IS-2 heavy tank with its 122mm gun could theoretically penetrate the Tiger II's turret at range, but its rate of fire was painfully slow and it carried limited ammunition. In a straight fight, the Tiger II held the edge over everything the Soviets had. That was never the problem. The problem was everything around the fight. 2 Tiger IIs captured by the Soviets couldn't even complete the drive to the Kubinka proving ground without constant breakdowns. Engines overheating, gearboxes failing, track tension needing adjustment every 10 to 15 kilometers. That wasn't combat. That was just driving it down a road. In the hedgerows of Normandy, engagement ranges were often a few hundred meters, distances where the Tiger I's 88 was already overkill. In the Ardennes in December 1944, about 150 Tiger IIs rolled into the worst possible terrain for a 70-ton tank. Narrow forest roads, frozen ground over mud, bridges that couldn't take the weight. When one broke down or ran out of fuel, it blocked everything behind it because the snow-covered road shoulders were soft mud underneath. A dead Tiger II became a 70-ton roadblock for your own army. Kampfgruppe Piper, pushed to La Glaise, ran out of fuel on December 23rd, and the surviving 800 men abandoned all their heavy equipment and walked back to German lines on foot. 6 Tiger IIs were left sitting there. 1 is still there today. Now, here's the thing people don't talk about enough. By 1944, the Tiger I had actually reached remarkable operational maturity. Its reliability had climbed to about 70%, roughly comparable to the Stug III and Panzer IV. Veterans knew its quirks. Supply chains were established. Crews were experienced. The Tiger II arrived into the chaos of late 1944 with none of that. Reliability hovered around 59%. Crews were increasingly young and poorly trained. Supply lines were being bombed apart. The Tiger II needed an army that no longer existed. And Germany already had a tank that answered nearly every problem the Tiger II was built to solve. The Panther weighed 45 tons, carried a 75mm KWK 42 L70 gun that, despite the smaller caliber, actually had better armor penetration than the Tiger I's 88 at most combat ranges. It could kill a Sherman or T-34 from the front at well over 1,000 meters. Its frontal hull armor was 80mm, but steeply sloped, giving an effective thickness of roughly 140mm. Not Tiger II territory, but more than enough to stop most Allied tank rounds at normal engagement distances. For the price of 1 Tiger II, you got nearly 3 Panthers, 2 Panthers for every Tiger II in labor alone. Germany produced about 6,000 Panthers during the war and 492 Tiger IIs. If every Tiger II had been a Panther instead, that's roughly 1,000 additional Panthers on the battlefield. The Panther was faster at 46 km per hour on roads, far more mobile cross-country. It could cross bridges the Tiger II couldn't. It could be towed by standard recovery vehicles. It could actually keep up with a moving front line. And the Tiger II's main advantage, that nothing could penetrate its front, mattered less than people think. The Panther's front was already good enough to stop most of what the Allies were shooting. The difference between impenetrable and very hard to penetrate doesn't count for much when your real problem is that you don't have enough tanks to cover a front stretching from France to Russia. Now, there's a question worth asking. What if Germany had simply kept building Tiger I's as their breakthrough tank instead of switching to the Tiger II in August 1944? By April 1944, Tiger I production had peaked at 104 units per month. The design was mature. The workforce knew the build process. The supply chain, battered as it was optimized for this specific vehicle. Switching to the Tiger II meant retooling, retraining, new component supply chains, and an inevitable production dip during the transition. All of that for a tank that consumed twice the resources per unit. And the Tiger I's gun could still do the job. The KWK-36 could destroy every Sherman variant, every Churchill, and every T-34 model at combat ranges. It struggled against the IS-2's frontal armor, but the IS-2 wasn't the most common Soviet tank. The T-34-85 was, and against the T-34-85, the Tiger I was still dominant. More Tiger I's would have meant more tanks in the field, better crew familiarity, fewer breakdowns, less fuel consumption per vehicle, and fewer bridges collapsing under the weight. But here's the uncomfortable truth. It probably wouldn't have changed the outcome. By mid-1944, Germany's problems weren't about which tank to build. They were about fuel, trained manpower, air superiority, and being outnumbered on every front by industrial powers that could replace their losses faster than Germany could inflict them. No tank was going to reverse that. The Tiger II was a symptom of something deeper in German military thinking. The belief that if you just made the armor a little thicker and the gun a little longer, you could engineer your way out of a war you were already losing. You couldn't. After the war, no country tried to build another Tiger II. Every major military moved toward what we now call the main battle tank, balancing firepower, armor, and mobility, rather than maximizing one at the expense of everything else. The era of the super heavy tank ended right there. The Tiger I had become, by 1944, a proven and mature system. Its reliability had climbed to match the Panzer IV. Its crews knew the machine. Its supply chains were established. And Germany replaced it with something bigger, heavier, thirstier, and harder to keep running at the exact moment it could least afford to. So, did Germany need the bigger Tiger? No. What Germany needed was more of the Tiger it already had. Or better yet, more Panthers, more Panzer IVs, more Stug 3s, simpler machines in greater numbers. But that kind of thinking required an honest reckoning with strategic reality. And in the Third Reich of 1944, honest reckonings were in even shorter supply than fuel.